Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to be doing a handover video on this VW T5. It's a Bilbo Camper conversion. You can see from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start under the bonnet and then I'll walk my way around and then show you on the inside as well. It's going to be a fairly short video because there's not a huge amount to run through on these VWs, but I will just get on with it. So over on the left hand side we've got your air filter and brake fluid at the top. And then got your power steering fluid reservoir here at the front. Your engine oil filling point is just one just here at the top of the engine, and your engine oil dipstick is the orange one over here to the right. You've then got your washer fluid reservoir in here and your engine coolant inside this one. Your engine battery sits underneath this big cover on the right hand side, and so you can literally just get to that by unscrewing these two little clips, and then you'll have access to the engine battery if you should ever need to. The bonnet release handle is over on the driver's side, just literally inside the door in there. So this particular vehicle is a 6-speed manual. You've got obviously your indicators and flashing lights just there on the left, and your washers and wipers are on the right. You've got your main lights on and off from here, headlight tilt and the brightness of the dash from this one here. On the actual door itself, you've got the mirrors that you can bring in if you want to by pushing up, and then you can adjust the mirrors angles from moving it around like a little joystick. You just select which mirror you want to move and then adjust it accordingly. You can lock and unlock the cab from these two buttons just here, and your electric windows switches are these ones here as well. Got the factory fitted stereo in there, so it's really straightforward and easy to use. On the passenger side, we open up the door. You can get to your diesel filling point, so you do need to have the door open in order to get that to open up. So your diesel filling point's just there on the near side. Now this is a pop-top roof. I haven't got the roof open, as you can see, but I've just thought I'd mention that is a pop-top roof, and you have got roof bars on there as well. So if you wanted to have a roof box or something on the top there, you can do. You've also got this rail here. This is called a Remo rail, and this basically allows you to use a drive-away awning. So you can literally slide on your drive-away awning onto there, and then you've got a nice big tent area on the outside of the van. These are always bonded on as well, so the rain shouldn't come underneath it, so you can literally stay dry inside the side tent. Right, I'll go through the inside in just a minute, but I'll carry on around the outside to the back for now. You have got a nice big 4-bike rack on the back of the van as well. Both sort of that and the roof bars are a nice high spec, good quality items. Right, you've got this table just here. All right, so this table here that you can remove actually sits inside these little guides here. All right, so if you want to have that table fitted, you put them into here, and then it means you can have the table wherever you want it to be. You can move around. A box full of spare bits and pieces in there as well, just from the previous owner, so you can have a little look through that. So this is paperwork for the vehicle. So absolutely loads of paperwork in there, all the original VW stuff as well, and any paperwork that came with the vehicle for the appliances, and that is all in that brown box. Oop. There you go. Right, in this cupboard at the back, this is the original seat belt just here. You have also got a solar panel, which you can see by that unit up there, that you haven't got to do anything with that, but that is your solar charging regulator. You've got a proper onboard tank as well, so you've got this freshwater filling point here. So if I just show you how to open that up, it's so easy. You've got 2 keys on your set, so you've got the main ignition key here, and then you've got this key here, which is literally just for this water point. So if I put the key in, twist it and pull it out, that pulls the cap off. Same goes for the way back in, twist it, take the key out. So now that's locked. Super easy to use. Underneath that, we've got your gas locker. It's a proper gas locker up to regulation because it's metal lined and it's you know, nice and secure. So the bottle itself is all you need to know about, really. So you've got an anti-clockwise motion to turn the bottle on this valve, and then clockwise all the way down around to the right will turn it off. So make sure you go all the way down like so. Now on the regulator at the back, you haven't got to do anything with that. That's all just for our testing purposes. So don't worry about that little yellow valve or anything like that. You just leave that as it is. Just turn the bottle off before you start driving, and that's all you need to do. There's a steel braided pigtail hose as well, so you've got years on that. Can't quite see the date. No, it's at 2030 to replace that. So you've got quite a long time. Right, so that is your gas locker. That closes over like that, and that is it for the back. Now, you've also got the electric hookup point here. All right, so if you do have access to an electric hookup, really handy to have that plugged in, because it means that your leisure battery is being charged up. It means that you're going to have access to any of your mains powered appliances or switches and plugs. So I'll run you through that when we get inside, but having the hookup in is quite a nice luxury to have. So I'll just jump around onto the inside now and show you what we've got in there. Just got a little towel down so I don't make it messy. It's been cleaned, so right, so as you can probably see, it's quite a standard sort of layout in general, but we know the guys over at Bilbo, and we've known them for years and years and years, and their conversions are just fantastic. Such a good build quality throughout. Don't tend to get many issues with them whatsoever, so it's a good purchase. Now you've got up here on the right hand side, you've got this control panel, EC200. This is actually a Sergeant control panel, but they've had it sort of labelled up with their name on it. Nice little touch. So the control panel is really, really simple to use. You've literally got a main power switch over on the top left hand side, which when you turn that on will then allow you access to using all of the lights and anything 12 volt basically. When you come into the van, I would always recommend with these particular control panels, I recommend turning the aux switch on as well, only really because it tends to power up some, you know, other appliances that might not have had power going to it. So essentially, if you want to come in and turn all the power on, you go power switch and aux like it is now. This button on the top right hand side, you don't have to worry about that one. The only reason you would ever turn that on is if you wanted the electric hookup to charge the engine battery instead of the vehicle, of the habitation battery. So essentially, all the time that this light isn't on, like it isn't now, it means that the leisure battery is the battery powering all of the stuff in the back end of the van. And it also means that the leisure battery is the one that is going to be charged by the electric hookup if you plug it in. So for obvious reasons, we don't want to be using that switch for powering the lights and anything 12 volt, because it's going to end up draining out the engine battery and then we're going to be knackered. So leave that one off unless you want the electric hookup to charge the engine battery. The other switch here is the water pump. Okay, so there's not really any water in the van at the moment, but that is the water pump switch just there. It is cold water only, so you haven't got any boiler or anything like that to worry about draining out. All I would say is to make sure that you drain the water out, you know, use up all the water basically before you get to winter. Now on the right hand side of the control panel, you've got up and down switches. You can basically go through and select timers, alarms. You can set the clock time. You can see how many amps are being drawn from the battery at any one time. External temperature, wastewater level. I don't think that's true actually. Sometimes they're a little bit kind of unpredictable in what they might say. So if I was you, I would just kind of see how you go with it. It's not kind of, you don't have to take it for gospel. Freshwater level, vehicle battery level, leisure battery level, and then back to the beginning. So that's just basically going through all of your sort of levels and things like that on the control panel, and that's it. Really easy. Now your heating in here is a Webasto diesel heater. And the diesel heater runs from the actual diesel tank itself. So you do need to make sure that you've got at least a quarter of a tank of fuel in the vehicle if you want to use the Webasto heater. And the reason that I say that is that normally when these companies fit the Webasto or eBispatcher or whatever diesel heater they've got, they would normally tap into the tank around a quarter of the way up from the bottom. And the reason that you would do that is for obvious reasons. If you tap in right at the bottom, it means that you can use all of the fuel out of the tank up. But if you tap in quarter of the way, you can never drain it all the way out just by using this and then end up getting stuck in a field somewhere with no fuel. So you'll find that if your diesel tank for the vehicle there is too low, you might find that you can't get the Webasto heater to work. So you need to make sure that you've always got at least a quarter of a tank of fuel if you want to use the heater. But when you do want to use the heater, it's literally a case of turning the button round. You'll get a little green light on there, and after about 5 minutes or so, you'll hear a ticking noise outside, and you'll be pumping hot air through that little black vent on the back of the driver's seat into the vehicle. When we were doing the habitation check, this heater works really, really well. It gets nice and hot in here. So yeah, all working well. Easy as that to turn it off. Just turn it all the way back. So down here in this nice locker, if I just zoom out a little bit so you can see where I am, you've got at the bottom here your power supply unit. So this is your EC200 matching up to the Sargent EC200 control panel. This is essentially the sort of heart of the vehicle. Everything electronic goes to this box and then gets diverted around the van wherever it needs to go to from there. So you've got a diagram on the left hand side telling you what each fuse and each trip switch over there, what they all do. So if you do have any issues with anything in the future, obviously you can phone us for any problems that you might get. But if you are stuck and you are sort of away somewhere that you need to sort of try and sort something out yourself, you can have a little look in here and it will literally tell you what each fuse does. So you can see there front lights, rear lights, 12-volt sockets, fans, ignitions. So you can go through there and literally work out what fuse it is that might be causing the issue. So it's really, really simple there. Same goes for the trip switches over on the right. So you can literally look on there where it says MCB allocation and you can see which MCB does what. So you can check, you know, what the problem is straight away just by that little diagram, which is always nice. To the left of that, you've got your two gas isolators. So the top one there is for the 2-burner hob and the bottom one is for your grill. So you can literally see there, if you want to isolate the gas from either of those, you turn them 90 degrees so they're facing upright, and that'll isolate the gas from that appliance. I will say that you don't need to do that every time you get out of the van. I have seen it a few times where people think that they have to drain the or isolate the gas from there, but to be honest, turning the gas bottle off in the locker at the back there is much better for isolating the entire vehicle from gas. The only reason you would ever use either of those, sorry about the noise, something going past. The only reason you would ever use either of these down here is purely for if you think you've got a gas leak from a specific appliance. So you can isolate specific appliances, you know, if you think you've got a gas leak. But to be honest, it's more so for our testing purposes. If we've got a leak when we're doing a hab check, we would isolate all of them and then turn them on one by one to see what's causing the leak. So it's you haven't got to do anything with those really unless you think you've got a problem with an appliance. So the rest of the van is all pretty straightforward. You've got, as I said, you've got the grill down here. On the grill itself, you've got a light inside there, which works by this little button on the right. You've got a piezo ignition, which might sound a little bit noisy, but you'll get used to that. You'll see that, you know, whenever you go to a campsite, you'll hear everybody doing that. It's quite normal to have those. But you literally just push in and round to the left to light the grill up, just like that. Okay, easy as that. Only thing I will say is that when you're using the grill, you should have this little bit here pulled out, and then you can actually do this as well if you want to. But the idea behind this little pulley here is that it will stop all of this stuff from getting too hot and end up warping and stuff like that. So if you use this, pull this out before you start using the grill. 2-burner hob up the top here, same ignition. So you've got a piezo ignition here for that as well. So literally just a case of pushing in. That's a bit awkward with one hand. There you go. So the piezo ignition is something that actually you might look at that and think, oh well, that's, you know, they've sort of skimped out on that and not given me an electronic one. But the reason that they do that normally is because you can use this piezo ignition wherever and whenever you are. So it doesn't rely on any 12-volt power whatsoever to use this. So you can always use your cooker regardless of power. You could take the battery out of this vehicle and still use this cooker. So that's the kind of beauty behind that. If you've got an electronic one, if you've got an electric ignition and your leisure battery's flat, you can't light you can't light it up. So I've always quite liked the piezo ignitions, even though they are a little bit noisy. Right, so below that we've got your fridge. So this is a 12-volt fridge. It's a Waco fridge. These fridges are so straightforward. So literally, I'm not even going to overcomplicate it at all. You've literally got, over on the left-hand side, you've got a temperature switch. So when you turn that on and select a temperature, the fridge has now started up. And after about sort of an hour or so, this fridge will be nice and cold. So all you have to do is keep your eye on that little gauge there. If it starts to get too cold inside, turn it down a bit. If it's not quite getting cold enough, turn it up a bit. If you have any problems with it, it'll tell you on this little thing here where it says error code. And when you're done using it, you twist it all the way back until it turns itself off up here. And I promise you, that is all there is to it. The only thing I would say is that the 12-volt fridges, the compressor fridges here, they do use quite a lot of power. So because they have to work from 12-volt, they have to work pretty hard. So all I would say is all the time that you're using any time that you're using the 12-volt fridge and you're not hooked up on the mains, just keep your eye on the voltage up there on the control panel for the leisure battery. Just keep your eye on it. And just make sure that you don't go down below about 10 volts, and that'd be fine then. So if you have a hookup plugged in, you haven't got to worry about that whatsoever. You can literally just leave it going for as long as you like with the hookup plugged in. You have got the solar panel up on the roof, so to be fair, that is going to be helping quite a lot anyway. But as I say, just because it uses up quite a lot of power, just keep your eye on that battery voltage. If it starts going down towards 10 volts, you might be looking at starting the engine up for a bit or plugging the hookup cable in for a while, if possible. But there you go. So I think I have covered everything in the van. As I say, it's a bit of a shorter video because it's not got as much in as maybe a bigger motorhome would. But yeah, so I think I've covered everything. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.